I'm blown away by the fact that so many entrepreneurs struggle with making their offers desirable, creating an appetite in the marketplace for what it is they sell so that people just bang the door down wanting to buy it. And on this video, I'm going to show you how to increase the perceived value of your offers. Now, if the intrinsic value of your offer is not good and you increase the perceived value and then you sell it, you're a con artist, right? But if the intrinsic value of your offer is substantial and the perceived value is less than desirable, nobody's ever going to get the transformation of the intrinsic value of your offer because they're not going to want to buy it. Because when people buy something from you, they're not buying your product, they're not buying your service, they're buying the offer for the transformation. The only thing they get before they pay is the offer. They don't get the product until after they pay. So nobody's paying for the product. They pay so they can get the product, but they're not paying for the product. They're paying for the offer. Offers are everything. In business, offers are everything. Now, you have to have a really strong internal reality of intrinsic value that you can provide for somebody that's worth more than the money they paid you, because if you don't, then you cheated them. That's called, in the scripture, that's called a false balance, right? And a false balance is an abomination of the Lord, an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. So when somebody pays you, and I left my wallet in the other room, of course I did, but when somebody pays you, they're not paying you because the thing they're paying you for is worth the money. They're paying you because the thing they're paying you for in their mind is worth more than the money. Nobody ever pays you for something that's worth it. They only pay you for something that's worth more than it. So what do I mean by that? If I give you $1 and you give me $1, we both still have $1. And if we do it again, we still both have $1. If we do it again, we still both have $1. And we can do that all day. And at the end of the day, we will both be exactly where we were when we started. So there's no reason for you to pay me $1 for $1, because it's a waste of time. It's a wasted action. It only makes sense for you to pay me if I'm giving you something that's more than $1. Now, if I say, you give me $1, I give you $2. And if you do that all day long, you're going to keep getting richer, right? So I have to make sure that when somebody pays me, what they're paying me for is worth more than the money they're paying me. Now, here's what's interesting. Why would I, I'm not going to sell you $2 for $1 or $10 for $1. What if I said, everybody who gives me $1, I'm going to give you $10. Like, who wouldn't want that deal? Everybody wants that deal. But, I don't win. But what if I can give you something that's worth $10 to you, and it's even worth $10 to me, but I have so much of it, it doesn't matter that I sell it to you. Now I've created some real value in the world. See, value is created as well as innate. There's innate value and then there's created value, right? And so if I'm going to increase the value of my offer, well, it would do me well to increase the intrinsic value, but that's not going to help me sell more of them. In other words, if I increase the real value of the offer, if I make the air conditioner colder or the heater hotter or the shoes more comfortable or whatever, more of whatever the whatever is, if I make it more of that, then I've increased the intrinsic value. I've made it intrinsically more valuable, but that does not help you buy it because you don't get to experience that until after you buy it. So the only way for me to create more conversion is for me to increase the perceived value of the offer. And I submit to you that people who can't sell, the reason they can't sell is because they're emphasizing the wrong value. I'm not saying they're emphasizing something that's not value. I'm saying they're emphasizing the wrong value. What do I mean they're emphasizing the wrong value? They're emphasizing the thing that's valuable to them about their offer and not the thing that's valuable to the marketplace. Now, here's what's really interesting about that. The more we have vested in something, because Jesus taught what? The heart follows the pocketbook. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be. He didn't say where your heart is, there will your treasure be. He said where your treasure is, there will your heart be. So if I've got a lot of money, time, effort, energy, thought power, if I've got a lot invested into developing a skill, what's valuable to me about my offer is my skill. So when I'm talking to you, I'm going to emphasize my skill. And I might even emphasize how long it took me to get it, how much it cost me to get it. I might emphasize how hard it was to get. None of that matters to you. at all. It's not that it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter to you at all. You weren't there. So I can describe it all I want to, and there's nothing about it that makes my offer more intrinsic, more value, perceptually valuable to you. So how do I increase the perceived value of my offer then? If talking about what's valuable to me about my offer is the wrong thing, and talking about what's intrinsically valuable in the offer, when I talk about what's intrinsically valuable in the offer, if that's what I'm emphasizing the wrong thing. They're going to experience that part. I don't have to talk about it that much. So, how do I increase the perceived value of my offer? I have to make sure I understand the desirability of the payoff, because the perceived value of the offer is my ability, if I'm selling something to you, my ability to help you perceive how much better your life is going to be when you say yes, then I'm emphasizing the right thing. So when I say the payoff, I'm talking about how your life gets better when you say yes to this offer. When you're selling something to me, it'll be easier for you to sell it to me when, in my mind, the payoff is worth more than the money. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to know, I need to survey, scan, observe, listen to my audience to see what they value. Because until I know what's valuable to you, I can't uncover value to you. That's why I describe marketing as discovering and developing in other people a desire for more and more of your product, your service, or your opportunity. Does that make sense? So you have to discover in other people what they desire, and then you have to develop more and more of that. That's what marketing is. Marketing is not giving somebody a business card or having some stationery print or a sign. That's not marketing. Marketing is the art and science of discovering and developing in other people a desire for more and more of your product, your service, or your opportunity. When you get good at marketing, it makes selling superfluous. It makes selling like a cakewalk. But most people haven't done enough marketing to get good at selling what they're selling to the people they're selling it to. So you don't understand your audience enough. And see, the desirability of your transformation, of your payoff, of the outcome is the most important element. It's like if you want to start a restaurant, what's the most important thing you need? You need a crowd of hungry people. If you're going fishing, a fishing pole would be nice, right? That'd be nice. A boat could be handy. A tackle box, right? But some bait. But the most important thing is a school of hungry fish. And if you don't have the school of hungry fish, you can have all the other elements. And if you don't believe me, go try to catch a fish in my swimming pool, because there are none in there. And it doesn't matter how good your bait is. It doesn't matter how good your tackle box is. It doesn't matter how good your pole is, right? And so, see, you will never be good at sales tuning people out. You have to tune in and see, you're so busy. The people who can't sell, they're so busy attempting to get people to tune into their frequency that you're not tuning into the audience's frequency. And what's amazing is when you get good at sales, what happens is, and making offers, the people you're talking to, the prospects, the audience, the client, they provide the content, you provide the context. The content is all the reasons why they would say yes and all the reasons why they would say no. It's why I can go into somebody else's event and help them sell sometimes more of their thing than they were able to sell. Because I understand what the audience desires, and I'm not trying to sell his thing. I'm selling them their result, and his thing is just a bridge. Are y'all tracking? And so, how desirable is the outcome? And so, if the outcome is desirable, if they already have, and by the way, I really believe the master key to success in sales is to love the people you sell to so much that you never sell them anything that does not do them good. That's the master key, okay? But the next critical component in selling is this: understanding that I don't have to find people to sell to. Because there are already thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially millions, potentially hundreds of millions of people in the world who would love to buy what I'd already love to sell if they only knew I existed. So instead of finding somebody to sell stuff to, I just make myself more findable for people who already want to buy what I already want to sell. It'll change the game forever. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So I tell the story about my tailor, right? And I was looking for a tailor in my brain. I wasn't looking for them on the street. There was a tailor here in Tampa, and I went to him. I had some custom shirts made. They weren't right, but I didn't wear them for a while because, like, when I buy stuff, I don't use it right away, right, all the time. And so I had these shirts, and then by the time I got ready to put one on, it didn't fit right. I'm like, this is supposed to be a tailored shirt. I paid like $212 for like a bunch of shirts. I don't know. It was 12 shirts, I think, and they didn't fit. Like, the cuff was too tight. It didn't fit. Like, I bought shirts from the store that fit me more custom than those did. So I wasn't going back to this guy again. And then I took him back to him. He's like, oh, the company that I ordered them from, the company you ordered them from is supposed to be a custom shirt, bro. What you doing? Anyway, so in my mind, I'm looking for a tailor. I needed some new suits. And if you understand something about me, I don't like this. I use it because it's a necessary evil. Emphasis on evil. Okay? Okay? So I don't like the phone. I don't like to talk on the phone. It's generally, it's a valuable tool, but it's generally an interruption if it rings, right? Because I wasn't sitting around hoping anybody would call, generally, right? Maybe my daughter, my granddaughter, my wife, right? But my son, but I'm not sitting around, hey, I hope so-and-so calls me, right? So I don't really like the phone. And the thing I like less than talking on the phone is when people I don't know call me on my phone. Like, why do you have my cell phone number and where did you get it from? Why are you calling me? Those are the first three questions that pop into my mind. And I get it, and I love people. I just don't want them interrupting me when I'm doing the thing I decided to do. Anyway, so I get this call. Hello, is this Myron Golden? Who's calling? This is Tiffany, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Yeah, what can I do for you? Yeah, I'm a tailor, and I'm talking to so-and-so. And then when she named so-and-so, they said you might be in the market for some tailored suits. I said, who said that? And she told me their name. I didn't know that person either. Now I'm really irritated. You got my phone number from you're somebody I don't know, calling me on my phone, and you got my phone number from somebody I don't know. And I said, what do you do again? She said, well, I represent the oldest custom clothier in the United States, and I'd like to come by and show you some custom clothes. Are you in the market for some custom suits? Well, as a matter of fact, I am. Right? And that was January of this year. I bought over $100,000 of clothing from this woman since then. Now, I'm not telling you that to impress you. I'm just telling you I was already wanting to buy what she was wanting to sell. So it was an easy yes. I'm telling you, there are thousands. Now, everybody out there ain't going to buy $100,000 worth of anything from you. But if they buy a $10, $100, $20, $30, $50, if you write a book, there are hundreds of thousands of people who will pay you $20 for your book. I know that to be a fact. If you create a course, there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who buy your course. If you create some kind of software, all I'm saying is stop trying to get people to buy stuff. Stop trying to find people to buy stuff and make yourself more findable for the people who already, it makes your work so much easier. Now, making yourself more findable is the work. I would rather do that work than trying to convince a no and turn it into a yes. And then what happens is the more findable you make yourself, the more the yeses beat your door down. It's so crazy. This book right here. I wrote this book in 2021. Now, here's the cool thing. I only had to write it once. I've not written this book twice. I've written it one time. One time I wrote this book. It took me longer. It took me a long time to write. This is the book that took me the longest to write. Okay. But it came out in September of 2021. Last month, the book funnel for this book brought in $59,000 to our business. A little $30 book, $10 shipping and handling. Brought in $59,000. Why? Because the people are already out there looking for the answers that are in here. I didn't have to talk them into it. That's my point. This book makes me hundreds of dollars a day, sometimes thousands a day. It's a book. It's paper. The intrinsic value of this book is about $3.50, maybe $2.50. I don't remember how much we paid for it. Somewhere in there. You say, Myron, what's your point? Desirability is the first and most important factor. How desirable is it? If you're selling something, if you're attempting to sell something you desire to sell instead of something the marketplace desires to buy, you are pitching the wrong offer. If you're tracking, let me hear you say I'm tracking. That was lame. Let me hear you say I'm tracking. Okay, good. Okay, so the desirability of the payoff. How desirable is it? That's question number one. So the more desirable the transformation is, the more likely they are to buy. But not only what is the desirability of the payoff, what is the doability potential of your offer? I'd like to take time to invite you to one of the most life-changing experiences you can ever have in your life. If you are an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what business you're in, what you sell. You want to take your business to the next level, you deserve to enroll in the Make More Offers Challenge. It will change your life in more ways than we have time. To join the Make More Offers Challenge as a VIP, there are 3 levels that you can join on. The general admission, it's $97. The VIP experience, and then there's Platinums. Platinums are VIPs who've upgraded and they've actually paid an additional $500 to ask a question. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next Make More Offers Challenge. What is the doability potential of your offer? How likely is it to work if they say yes? Now, how do I communicate? How do I transfer doability potential? Well, doability potential always starts with you. Have you done it? Did you do it? Is it done? That's where it starts. Well, if you're telling somebody you're going to help them do something you've not done, it's kind of fake, kind of phony, right? It ain't real, right? It's a lie. You told it. Okay, so how doable is the offer? What's the doability potential? So now, this is why testimonials can be so valuable. Now, here's the thing about testimonials, though. If your testimonials about transformation are in the arena of health or finance, you have to have documentation, or you can get sued not by a person, by the government. And they're bigger than you. So you have to have documentation. You have to have proof that what you're telling people other people did, they've actually done. Okay, you're tracking. So what's the doability potential? So the more people who are successfully doing a thing, the more likely it is that it's doable. Here's the cool thing about human beings. We all think we're better than who? Well, mostly everybody else. If they did it, I know it's going to work for me. That person did it? I knew them when they were, I know I'm about to get. And then you can fill in the blank. Am I telling the truth, y'all? And so what happens is, like, when people see that you've done it, and then they see that other people that you've helped have done it, and people who are less skilled, less talented, not as intelligent, right, not as articulate as them, when they do it, they say, well, it's about to be on. Let's go, right? So we measure the doability factor, okay? What's the doability potential? Then the next, what is the delay of the payoff? How soon will it happen? So if it's really, really desirable, and a lot of people are having success, and it doesn't take 152 years, people are more likely to say yes. Does that make sense? So what we're doing, we don't have to. It just need. Okay. So one of the things we do, and by the way, we make our students who apply for $100,000 day awards provide documentation. We make our students who qualify for $1 million day awards, we make them provide documentation. Oh. And then they get the award. They don't provide documentation. I can't tell people you had $1 million day unless you provide me with documentation you had $1 million day. Or $5 million day or $10 million day or whatever. Now, why do we award people not just for making $1 million or $100,000 or $5 million or $10 million? Why do we award them for doing that in a day? Because the delay of the payoff is shorter. And the average person is going to come to the conclusion, well, if you help them have $1 million day, maybe you can help me make $1 million in the next 3 years, which most people will be just as happy, right? And so, and it's good when you yourself, whatever you're teaching, whatever you're selling, when you're coming from a place of experience and not just a place of expression. Like for instance, when I'm teaching the principle, it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money in a long period of time. That wasn't something that I was looking for, and it wasn't something I heard somebody say. It was something that I stumbled upon in April of 1999 when I accidentally made $6,200 in 1 week, and it was the most money I'd ever made in a week in my life. And I was like, wait, last year I was making less than that a month, and now I just had a week where I made more. I made 150% in a week of what I made last year every month. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should, maybe I should pay attention to that. And so when I'm telling people it's easier to make, even though it's hard for people to wrap their minds around, how many of y'all, honestly, when I say that, you like it, but it's kind of hard to process, like, on the reality spectrum, right? It's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time, right? But I already know I know that's the case. It's like, and what's funny is, not funny, what's amazing is, the bigger the numbers get, I used to talk, now I just read about it. The bigger the numbers get, the easier it becomes. Which seems so paradoxical and oxymoronic, but I'm telling you, that's been my experience. And because this is something I stumbled upon, when I share that with other people, and they start looking for the easier ways to make a lot of money instead of the harder ways to make a lot, bada bing, bada boom. So, fast forward. What is the delay to payoff? So, y'all remember a couple months ago, I was traveling like a crazy person. It started like at the beginning of September and didn't end until like the end of October. Beginning of November. It was insane. I was like, well, while I was doing all that, I wasn't working out, I wasn't doing my biohacking, I gained 12 pounds. Went from 180 to 192. Oh, no, this ain't that. We ain't fixing to do that. And so, came back home. I'm home for almost a month, nothing. And every time I get on a scale, nothing's changing. I'm working out, nothing's moving. Heard a guy, I was watching a YouTube video, and there's this guy who was 71 years old. No, he was 74 years old. And he was working out like a crazy person. I mean, this dude, and he was fit. I mean, he was tighter than a banjo string. And he said, it's way harder to maintain strength at 74 than it was at 73. I said, I was expecting him to say 74 than 64. He said 74 than 73. I said, oh no, this thing ain't fixing to get out of control like that. No, sir. No, sir. So, you know what they say. Radical times require radical methods. It's time for me to get radical. And so December 1st, I decided, okay, I'm not eating any more carbs. I'm getting down to 170. I'm not eating any more carbs till next year. None. Other than the banana that I put in my protein shake. That's it. No carbs. Have had none since December 1st. And I have lost 9 pounds in less than 2 weeks, in 13 days. Because I just decided I'm not doing this anymore. Now, that's a rapid transformation. A lot of people won't tell you, but I'll tell you. And I've heard people say it, and I knew it was true anyway. Like, your body composition has far more to do with what you put in your mouth than how much you work out. Far more. Now, I always say that nutrition without fitness is inefficient, but fitness without nutrition is dangerous. So wrap your mind around that. Because that's why we have all these athletes that drop dead of a heart attack, because they're fit, they're pushing their bodies without the right nutrition to build the right building blocks. Anyway, so what is the delay of the payoff? How delayed is the payoff? So the more desirable something is, the more doable something is, and the sooner somebody can get the payoff, the more likely they are to say yes. So when you're talk about the desirability. Talk about the things they desire. Talk about how doable it is, and talk about how the payoff delay is small. It's not big, okay? And then you have to let them know that it's going to require disciplined practices. You're not going to there's no easy button. There's no, here's what people want. Here's what people want. In the arena of money, here's what they want. Where's my microphone? Which side? Okay, that side.
That was easy.
That doesn't exist. Okay? There's no easy button to get paid. Now, there are easier buttons, but there's no easy, right? It took me probably a year and a half, almost 2 years to write this book. right? But now it's done. I don't have to do that. I don't have to write that book anymore, right? So, but writing a book requires discipline. It requires financial discipline. It requires thought discipline. It requires like poring over your manuscript over and over again to make sure it makes sense and that you're saying what you thought you said and not just what you thought. I mean, saying what you meant to say and not what you thought you said. It requires a lot of discipline. It's not, there's no easy button to success in any road. Like, I thought, well, I'll just work all this extra weight off that I gained. It's so fascinating how much faster entropy is than energy. Isn't that fascinating? Right? Entropy is anything left to itself tends to move more and more towards disorder, right? But energy is like, it requires intention. Energy requires intention. Entropy only requires neglect. And so it's fascinating how when I lose my intention and I just neglect something, how much faster something will deteriorate from neglect than compared to how slow it improves with intention. That's why we're all going to be better off to maintain that state of homeostasis or whatever that thing is we're working on, as opposed to letting it get away from us and then attempting to recover. Anyway, I just thunk of that, so I figured I'd say it. And I know it's thought for those of you English majors. Okay, so just when you're selling something to people, don't lie to them. Don't make it sound like an easy button. Be honest with them. Tell them, yeah, you can make $1 million, but there's work required. And the hardest work that you're going to do on the path to becoming a millionaire is the work you're going to do on you. And the work you're going to allow your work to do on you. Because I promise you, when the thing you're working on feels like it isn't working, it's working. It's just not working for you yet because it's working on you. When I was working out after I gained 12 pounds, I was working, and my working out wasn't working for me. It did not move the needle at all. Not even a smidgen. Not even a hairbreadth. Not even a little bit. It didn't move it at all. Okay, I got to do something different, right? And so discipline practices are necessary. You want to be fit? Discipline practices are necessary. You want to be rich? Discipline practice. You want to have a good relationship? Discipline practices are necessary. You have to discipline yourself. What does discipline mean? It means you do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way you're supposed to do it, and you do it that way every time you do it. That's what discipline does. And then it's going to require some deleted priorities. What does that mean? There are some things, it's so fascinating. My friend, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he wrote a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And in 10X is Easier Than 2X, the thing that he emphasizes with the Pareto distribution, right? So the Pareto distribution says that 80% of the work is produced by 20% of the work effort, right? And what most people do when they desire increase is they put more into the 80%. He said, but the way to 10X, and you can get incremental advances by focusing on increasing the 80%, right? But he said, getting more out of the 80% that's inefficient. But he said, you don't 10X by doing more of what's not working. You don't 10X by adding things, you 10X by removing things. And so you want to have a 10X result in any area of your life. What are you going to delete to make room for the thing that's going to work for you? What are you going to say no to that's going to allow you to get the full impact of the yes you just said? Because I'll tell you what, when you figure that part out, oh, you on the path. Yeah, you own the path now. But see, most people won't tell you about the disciplines that are required, right? The discipline priorities, or the discipline practices or the deleted priorities. But I'm going to tell you right now, in order for me to say yes to the stuff that works, I have to say no to the stuff that doesn't work. Right? And see, unfortunately, it's easier for us to say no to the things we have momentum saying no to. Right? We're used to saying no to things that would be beneficial, and we're used to saying yes to things oftentimes that are not beneficial. Hence, wherever you are, that is where you will find yourself. So let's decide that when we're presenting something to people and we're making an offer, that we're talking to them about what they desire most and showing them how the thing that we had is going to get them there the fastest. Let's make sure we show them how doable it is, number one, by our own example, and then by the examples of the other people we've helped. By the way, but Myron, what if I haven't helped anybody? That's okay. If the methodology that you're using has helped somebody, you can use doability proof from that methodology. Why? Because there's nothing new under the sun. So I didn't build my business based on my own success. I didn't build my business based on a Harvard business model. I built my business based on King Solomon's business model. I said, I'm going to do what Solomon did. And I'm going to teach other people to do what Solomon did. And guess what? Because principles don't care if I'm Myron or Solomon or you. They just work for me like they work for Solomon. Now, I mean, not to the tune of trillions of dollars yet, but who knows? Who knows what God has in the works, right? And so what I'm saying is make sure you're talking to people about stuff they care about. Make sure you let them know that it's doable for them. Make sure you let them know that there are going to be some discipline practices required, right? They're going to have to delete some priorities, and there's the delay in the payoff. Like I've got such an efficient method of accomplishing this thing that the payoff is shortened. Here's what people want in the arena of money, right? They want big money, free time. Day before yesterday. Right? Now, you can't get it to them day before yesterday, but the sooner you can get it to them, the more likely they are to say yes. Here's what they want in the area of fitness. They want the body of a superhero without having to spend their life at the gym and without giving up their favorite foods. If you figure out that one out, good luck. Okay, so here's what people want with regard to relationships. People want to have great friends. People want to have a great intimate relationship with somebody they love. Like, I'm thankful that I've been married to the same woman for 38 years. And neither one of us look old enough to be married 38 years. Well, she doesn't look old enough to be married 38 years. I look old enough to be married more than 38 years.